Let's recap our breaking news this evening. There has been a huge explosion in the Lebanese capital, Beirut. The blast happened in the port around 2 hours ago. It rocked the whole city. It shattered windows over a large area. Many people thought there'd been an earthquake. In fact, hospitals are said to be overwhelmed by casualties. Some reports talking of as many as 500 people being injured. Firefighters are tackling numerous blazes, and eyewitnesses say that balconies collapsed. People were left trapped under the rubble. Government officials are saying a very high number of people have been injured, and it's feared there'll be a high death toll as well. A BBC producer in Beirut has been speaking of massive devastation at the port of Beirut, with bodies everywhere, shipping containers mashed and overturned. It isn't yet known what caused the explosion, which was felt across the city and could be heard for miles around. Well, these are live pictures now of the aftermath of those two separate explosions, and the latest casualty reports just coming into us here at BBC News say that there could be several hundred people who have been injured and who've been taken to hospitals in the city. The head of the Lebanese Red Cross is saying that there's no exact figure of how many people are injured, but many are still trapped in their homes within the area of the blast. Some people are being rescued by boat. There's one source in Beirut saying that they are treating in one hospital more than 500 injuries, and they can't take any more casualties. Many of the operations are taking place in that hospital, and the hospital is appealing for blood donations. Let's get this report now from our correspondent James Robbins.
A massive explosion sent shockwaves tearing through the Lebanese capital. The blast happened in the port area. It looks as if the first explosion was followed by another, much larger one, which swept through many nearby buildings. Lebanon's health minister said there'd been many injuries and widespread damage.
I saw the fire, but I didn't yet knew there was going to be an explosion. We went inside. Suddenly, I lost my hearing. Apparently, I was too close. So I lost my hearing for a few seconds. I knew something was wrong. And then suddenly, the glass just shattered all over the cars around us, the shops, the stores, the buildings. Just glass going down from all over the buildings.
Firefighters are tackling numerous blazes, while medical teams are searching for casualties in what is now a full-scale emergency. James Robbins, BBC News.
And we're just hearing that the Lebanese Prime Minister has declared a day of national mourning in Lebanon on Wednesday after those explosions. It seems there were two explosions, but one of them was absolutely enormous, as you saw there in James Robbins' piece. Well, our correspondent in Beirut, Lena Sinjab, has been describing to us the moment that she felt the blast.
Well, I was here in my apartment and the whole building was shaking. It felt like it was like an earthquake, and I felt like the building is about to collapse. Just a few minutes after, there was like big explosion that all the doors in my flat went open, and we started trying to call each other, check on people. And you know, the phone network was down, and immediately after we heard that there was the explosion that hit the area of the Beirut port. Many buildings around that area had their windows shattered, you know, some like huge damage there. And of course the government is saying that there are many casualties and the hospitals are filled up with people. So so far we're not able to tell what are the causes. The government is saying that the explosion took place at the port at an explosives warehouse, but it's hard to tell at the moment what are the real causes behind this big explosion. It certainly shook the whole city. Many people heard it, you know, from miles away from the city, and it was like really something of a kind that nobody felt before. It reminded people of what happened in 2005, where there was a big explosion that took the life of former Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri.
Lena Sinjar there in Beirut. Well, many people indeed in the city saying that it did feel as though it was an earthquake. This is the aftermath. You can see the nightscape in Beirut, and flames and smoke and carnage after that enormous explosion. It seems there were two explosions, but one, as we saw earlier, was particularly massive. Now, the US State Department says it's following closely the reports of the explosion. It's standing ready to offer all possible assistance, says the US State Department. The latest casualty figures, well, there aren't any detailed casualty figures, but the head of the Lebanese Red Cross is talking about hundreds of people having been taken to hospitals in the city and many remaining trapped in their homes that have been damaged by the blast. And also we're hearing reports of at least 10 people having been killed. Clearly that death toll may rise.